Hey everybody, Barry Rutten, your insurance sales mentor here with a video about probably one of the most talked about, suffered through, agonized along with topics that I coach on, and that is objection handling. If there's one topic that I get over and over and over again, it's how do I handle these objections? Because to be honest, we hate getting them. I hate getting them. I hate hearing them. You kind of want to reach across the table and or reach through the phone and slap the person around a little bit. We don't like getting them. We don't like dealing with them. I always feel a little dirty when I'm having to do objection handling. What I want to do today on this video, and while I'm speaking about videos, please take a moment to like the video if you enjoy it. If you would like to get more of these videos, please subscribe. And if you want to get notified when the videos are released, please click the little bell icon and you'll get notified. What we want to do when it comes to objection handling, we want to understand the nature of the beast. What we're dealing with is a physiological reaction. Now, I didn't say physical and I didn't say psychological. I said physiological. What we're talking about is actually how the human brain processes new information. And what you're really dealing with is something crazily called the reticular activating system. And it's actually a part of your brain. It's actually at the top of your brainstem. And it's what a lot of people refer to as the old brain, the primordial brain. I call it the lizard brain. And before we had a more developed sense of things like emotions and logical brains and things like that, we had this primordial brain, which was really just responsible for survival. Keeping you breathing, keeping you alive, keeping you out of danger. And what you have to realize is this, and I always start at this spot, this point when we teach about objections. If you get trapped by the reticular activating system, if you trigger it, you're not going to get through it. So the key is to avoid it in the first place. And if you do trigger it, you have to know how to get under it, around it, or over it, because you're not going to be able to go through it. It's too strong. So what is going on? What's going on is your brain primarily was designed to protect you from danger. Now, in modern times, you're not going to be eaten by something or attacked by another saber-toothed tiger or whatever. By the way, saber-toothed tigers did not exist when humans existed, so it's actually a bad analogy. I apologize. But what is dangerous for people today, and I apologize, are things like insurance agents trying to sell insurance to us that we don't think we need. And so there you are coming along like, hey, we don't insure your fill in the blank, auto, home, life, whatever. And this defensive mechanism goes boing, and it hears insurance, and it makes this association that it formed in the past of insurance, bad, scary, insurance agents, bad, scary, and this defensive wall goes up, and you're going to spend the next 3 hours trying to get through it, and you're not going to get through it. So we need to make sure we do not trigger this scared little lizard, as I call it, this scared little primordial brain. And the way we do that is we ask clients questions that cause them to have the kinds of reactions that get past and underneath this defensive mechanism and get them to really start thinking about what you're asking. And once those emotions are triggered, then we can create a state where the logical brain can come along and say, yeah, I really should do something about that. So if you think about it, it's a sequence. We have the defensive brain, the primordial brain, the lizard brain. We've got to step around that brain because it's too aggressive in how it filters what it perceives to be dangerous. This way we can work in the emotional brain. We'll call that the middle brain, get those emotions flowing, and get those emotions flowing because, believe it or not, it's the emotional brain that makes decisions that then are justified by the logical brain. I'll give you an example. People don't buy a high-end Mercedes for logical reasons. If you're buying a car for logic, you'd buy like a Toyota Corolla. It's good, practical, cheap transportation that is more than adequate to get you from point A to point B. So why do we buy a Mercedes? Because of the way it makes us feel. It could be because you want to feel special and exclusive because not everybody can afford it. You want to think about how you look good in it driving down the road. You want to think about how you feel like, okay, I've really succeeded because I can afford this car. You made a decision to buy that car for emotional reasons. Then your logical brain came along and said, oh, well, it's really safe and it's German engineering and da, 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 da. It's going to last a long time. So the same thing, your mind makes emotional decisions about things and then justifies them with logic. So we got to connect with that emotional brain. So what we don't do is we don't ask people about products that trigger that lizard brain to be very defensive. And if there's one rule that I just beg you to please stop doing if you're getting a lot of objections, is please stop the use of product-based launches to your conversation. It's kind of like that outdoor game that kids play called slip and slide, right? You take a big piece of plastic, you wet it down with a hose, and you run and jump on it. Slip and slide is great. You get on it and you go shooting across the lawn, and then you go shooting off the piece of plastic onto the lawn. And we don't want to have slip and slide conversations. We don't want to get in conversations that that happen too fast, like where you get into the conversation quickly and then get out of the conversation quickly. We want to ask the client powerful questions that cause their emotions to kick in, and especially to have their visuals kick in, because it's the visuals that create the most powerful emotions. Let me give you an example. If you said, hey, we haven't had a chance to talk to you about your life insurance, want defensive wall. But what if I said to you, Steve, what would be the financial impact on your family if your income stream were suddenly shut off tomorrow and money stopped being deposited into your checkbook? How would you be impacted? What would the consequences be? The very nature of the client or the prospect having to contemplate your question automatically bypasses the defensive mechanism and gets them to start almost immediately thinking about those consequences, thinking about the consequences of the lack of money, what they can't pay for, what the cascade of events would follow from that. Like, I can't pay for my house. Now you are foreclosed on. I can't pay for my car. Now you are your car is repossessed. I can't buy food. I can't do anything, right? I can't buy utilities, electricity, water, etc. So the very act of asking better questions helps us avoid objections in the first place. Now the emotional brain is, I really kind of care about these topics. Tell me more. Let's engage in this conversation. And then when the time is right, we present a solution, which then the logical brain says, yes, it makes sense to spend the premium dollars on this, because, but ultimately what your emotion said is, I don't want the bad thing that I just described or thought about or visualized to happen to me or to happen to my family, and I'm willing to spend the money to make that problem that's in my mind and in my emotions go away. And that's how you're going to get your sales made much easier with far less objections, by knowing how to navigate how people process information and process what they hear, and avoid those objections, so you don't spend so much time handling objections. You just skillfully get from point A to point B to point C. I hope that's really helpful for you. And if this information was helpful to you, please comment below. And if you use it and use it successfully, please let us know here as well, and we will see you in the next video. To make sure that you continue to be able to access all of these videos, do 3 things real quick while you're thinking about it. Be sure to like this video, certainly subscribe so you can continue to get more of this type of content, and click the little bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. Usually those are going to come out on Fridays.